I feel like having a conversation. There's been a lot of shit taking place in the news, and I'm the occult view, so I like to give my occult assessment about what's really going on and, shit like that. So I was reading an article where several black athletes are being charged with defrauding the NFL's medical program or some shit like that. Allegedly, Clinton Portis is one of the people being accused, and some other well-known black athletes. All of them were black athletes. All of them. Okay, all of them were black athletes, if not most of them. But if, I'm quite certain all of them were black athletes. They are being accused of defrauding the NFL medicals program or some shit like that. I don't know. Allegedly, they did this. Let me put that out there. So then let's keep it moving. Let's go around to Cuba Gooding Jr. He is being accused. He was accused early part of this year of, sexually harassing or sexual misconduct with women or whatever the case may be. He was accused of that. Now, 7 more women have come out and accused Cuba Gooding Jr. of sexual misconduct or whatever the case may be. Now there's another article where Russell Simmons, who has been accused of rape, he's been accused of fucking rape. He's been accused of sexually harassing women and all types of shit. Russell Simmons and 50 Cent, they are pissed off with Oprah Winfrey because she has a documentary coming out about sexual abuse and rape in the music industry. And I'm using my own words. Okay. And they feel a certain kind of way about that because, they're saying, well, Oprah, you only go after black men and you don't go after white men in the industry, like Harvey Weinstein or Jeff Epstein or whoever the case may be, you know? So I sat back and I'm just examining all of this shit that's taking place. And you see, this is how you can tell that none of these niggas are really on to anything when it comes to the occult. None of them have an understanding of what's happening to them. See, I know what's going on with them. I know exactly what's going on with all you niggas in the NFL. I know what's going on with you niggas in the music industry. And I know people are going to say, well, they made deals and they sacrificed or they sold. It's a little bit more than that. We all know those types of things take place, allegedly, or I mean, at least that's the layman explanation. But it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. This is how you know that they're not really on to anything of a higher vibration because they have no control over anything that's happening to them. And they don't understand the fucking laws of polarity, and they don't understand the laws of cause and effect, aka karma. Because karma is all about cause and effect. Karma is not about, this is my understanding of karma. I don't give a fuck about nobody else's understanding. Karma is what you create. So if you're a fucked up motherfucking person, then the effect of that, well, let me back up. If you're a fucked up person, okay, you're a fucked up individual, that's the cause. the effect will be that people are not going to want to fuck with you. People are not going to want to work with you, and people are not going to want to have anything to do with you, basically. That's the effect. The cause, you a fucked up individual. The effect is people will stay away from you. People won't gravitate towards you. Okay? Just giving you an example. Karma is created by you and your own motherfucking mind. Now let's go back in time. Let's start with the NFL, the black NFL people, players or guys, whatever. It's late, so forgive me. Let's start with the black athletes. Now, I've been noticing a lot of shit popping off and a lot of shit going down with a lot of black athletes. They're throwing them out of the NFL. Every time you turn around, this is happening to them. That is happening to them. They're being pushed out. Now, I'm 40 years old. So those people in my age bracket and older, especially black women, I want you all to remember something. Do you all remember back in the day, and this can be applied to black male entertainers as well. Remember back in the day, early 2000s, late 90s, when black NFL players and athletes, they thought they were hot motherfucking shit. They didn't want anything to do with black women. They were marrying and dating all of these white women. They basically gave the black community and black women the motherfucking middle finger. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I'm a deity, so I don't look at right and wrong in the same way that other people do. Okay? I have a more deity type of mindset. But I do understand the psychological harm that can do to a black woman and to the black community as a whole when you have a group of black men who are in positions of power to help the black community, but they decide to go off and give the black community a middle finger, and they go off and they marry white women. And then not only that, when they go off and marry white women, they start talking shit about how black women are this, black women are fat, black women are ugly, black women are this, and black women are that. You know, they do all that motherfucker. They did all that extra shit back 20 some years ago. They did that, a lot of those black NFL players. They made it known that they did not like black women. Now, I'm not saying that was the majority of them, but that's not the fucking point. I'm just making my motherfucking case before I get into what I really wanted to talk about. So back then, everything was going well for them. Everything was going well for them. They had the white girlfriend, the trophy white wife. They were making the money, and they were bad motherfucking ass. Okay? Now, granted, a lot of the NFL players that are having challenges now, they are not, they don't come from that era. They're younger. But at the end of the day, they're black. And because of what those niggas did back then, okay, because of what they did back then, and because they're in that industry, it's affecting these current black NFL players now. That is what we call quantum entanglement. See, people ain't ready. And I can even go deeper with that, but I'm not going to really go too much, into that. But I've been examining what's really been going on. That's quantum entanglement. So when we look at the music industry, or not even the music industry, but the movie industry, the black motherfucking men in the movie industry, they doing the same motherfucking thing. Cuba Gooding Jr., he was married to a white woman for years. I don't even think that nigga was ever married to a black woman. I don't know, and I don't really fucking care. But let's look at Cuba Gooding Jr., for example. He was getting all the roles he wanted. He was in Boys in the Hood. He was doing good. And when he played in Boys in the Hood in the early 1990s, when I was a kid, I just couldn't imagine him being with a white woman at that time. And I don't care what people do. I don't give a fuck about that. That's not the point. I'm making the point of what's going on with them and why it's happening. Okay. So Cuba Gooding Jr., he dated strictly white women, it looked like. I think he has his children by white women and all of that. He didn't date black women. And that's fine. You don't like black women? Okay. That's your prerogative. He didn't date black women. But back in the day, Cooper Gooding Jr. wasn't going through any of this motherfucking shit either. Everything was going really good for him at that time. He was getting all the good movie deals. He was young. He was a young black guy playing in all the great movies. And he had the great black-white life. He was a black man living the white American dream. Like a lot of these niggas. Okay? So now let's examine what's really taking place and what's really the fuck going on. When I sit back and just peep and look and examine everything that's happening to these niggas now is nothing more than polarity. For many, and there's no good or bad in the law of polarity. The law of polarity is simply this. What we call good and what we call bad are basically the same motherfucking thing. But if you are a god or if you are doing self-transformation to become a god, then it's up to you not to be controlled by polarity, but for you to control polarity yourself. That means you control the laws. Remember, the mind is all, and the motherfucking universe is mental. And that simply means that it's nothing but your mind. So your mind controls every fucking thing, including polarity. So what's happening to these niggas now is that for so many years, they were on a certain part or they were in a certain aspect of polarity that benefited them. Because these niggas they don't know anything about no goddamn occult. They don't know anything about that. Because if they did, they wouldn't be going through the shit that they're going through now. See, I know how to manipulate and control polarity and control my own motherfucking reality. I know how to do that. Now I know how to do that. Okay? I didn't know how to do that at first. Okay? But I had a good, coach. Let's just say that. A good death coach that taught me how to do that shit. These niggas have been on the other side of polarity or the flip side of polarity for so many years that benefited them. But see, the people that control them, they probably understand the law of polarity. They probably have an understanding of that, like I do. They've been on the side of polarity for so long that benefited them. They also set up karma for themselves that would not benefit them down the road. See, sometimes polarity and karma can go hand in hand sometimes. Karma is what you create for yourself. You see, they've been in a certain aspect of that polarity for so long, and they probably didn't think that nothing could change that. Because people think, see, here's another, just a simple cliche that people say, nothing good lasts bad, or nothing good or bad, lasts forever. What they're talking about is polarity, because the pendulum swings back and forth, back and forth. What we call good times and what we call bad times. But the object or the goal for a person who is seeking self enlightenment or a person who is into self transformation so they can become God. The goal is for you to control the pendulum. And no matter how it flows, you are in control and you have an understanding that, look, sometimes things are going to be challenging and sometimes things are not. So what's happening to these niggas is that right now they are going into a part or they're going into an aspect of polarity that is not benefiting them. And they don't know how to handle that. See, for so many years, these black athletes and these black actors and the white ones too. But I'm only talking about the black ones because the black ones, you know, they were the ones who basically, well, I don't even want to get into all that. I'm talking about the black ones because I'm black. And they're complaining that, Russell and 50 Cent, they're complaining that Oprah is only talking about black men and not talking about white men. Well, Oprah is the queen of all motherfucking agents. She had a dude on her show that promoted a narrative and an ideology and who put black people up under the most strongest form of mind control, making black women think that most black men are on the motherfucking DL. So my question to them is that why the fuck would you think that Oprah would not target black men? She's always done that. She's always done that. That's nothing new. And what's interesting is that I'm laughing because that just goes to show you that these niggas, they got all this motherfucking money, but they don't understand the laws of polarity for real, for real. Because if they did, they wouldn't be complaining that Oprah is only going to go after black men in her docuseries about sex abuse in the music industry. But what black men in that industry and what a lot of you rich athlete black men have to understand, for so many years you have been on the opposite side of polarity where it was benefiting you. Okay? And then two, you have to look at it like this too. There's a such thing, as I mentioned earlier, as quantum entanglement. What that simply means is that as black people, because we are a different type of species, our realities with each other get entangled. So the shit that you all did back then, is affecting the younger black NFL players now. The shit, the cooning and all the bullshit you niggas did back then. See, now that shit is affecting the younger black NFL players now. Because whether black people want to accept this or not, there is a collective. There is a collective when it comes to us. We can have our own individual motherfucking path, but there is a collective of consciousness. I'm not talking about being a follower, but there is a collective of consciousness. And what we do in the paradigm, or whatever you want to call it, it can have ripple effects throughout motherfucking time based upon how we fucking think and based upon some of our actions. So if you are a nigga, or if you are a collective group of niggas, and you have made it up in your mind, if you've made it up in your mind that you don't want nothing to do with the black community, and I don't mean, you sacrificing yourself to the black community and being some type of motherfucking martyr, and I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about the damage that you do to self. When you take away your own motherfucking power, when you deny your own motherfucking melanin and your own motherfucking power, when you do that, you are causing a tear, or you are causing some type of trauma within that quantum energetic grid, or in that morphic grid or field. You're causing some type of tear within that when you go against the motherfucking grain. I'm not talking about you necessarily marrying outside the race. That's not what I'm talking about. When you This ain't got nothing to do with white people. I don't blame them for this. I blame you niggas. Number one, you don't have an understanding of polarity. And that is how you can tell that these motherfuckers ain't really no motherfucking gods. They're just regular black people with a lot of motherfucking money. Because if they were really gods, they would know how to rise above this, these challenges that are before them under the law of polarity. See, I have challenges too. But what I do spiritual motherfucking work to rise above them. I said a buzz, above them, because I have a deified mind. And that's what gods do. Okay? When something don't go my way, I make it go my motherfucking way. I force it to go my way. When something happens that I don't like, I go back and I correct it and I make it go the way that I do like it. That is controlling polarity. And that is where you niggas lack in the NFL and you motherfuckers in the motherfucking industry. That is where you lack. And that is why you're having the problems that you're having. Now they say 7 more women have come out against Cuba Gooding Jr. This nigga set up most of his career basically denouncing black women, dismissing black women, ignoring black women. You know what I'm saying? He practically, and I'm pretty sure most of those women, if I'm wrong, I'm just wrong. If I'm proven wrong, then I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure most of those women that are coming after Cuba Gooding Jr., most of them are probably white women. I guarantee you. And I'm guess what? I'm not, well, I ain't gonna even say that, but it is what it is. But I guarantee you, I'm not gonna get into that bullshit. I don't want to go there. But that's not even important. But I guarantee you that most of them are white women. And white women were his woman of choice. And that's fine. That's fine. But when you try to totally separate from yourself, when you and see, it's deeper than him just going to white women. This nigga tried to totally separate from himself. Now I know a lot of people don't like Halle Berry because of the movie's Monsters Ball. I get that. But sometimes we have to stop being so motherfucking sensitive and we have to really look at shit for what it really is. Yeah, I know Halle Berry was messing with those white men as well. I know that. But Halle Berry also had marriages and relationships with black men who abused her. And some of those black men who abused her did not like black women. Wesley Snipes allegedly was the man who abused her and caused her to lose a certain percentage of her hearing out of one of her ears. And we all know that nigga does not like black women. We know that. Yeah, Halle Berry did date and marry white men. Yes, she did. She had children by white men. But even within that, there is still some consciousness in Halle Berry. She may have personal issues or personal demons or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But there's still some consciousness in her because at least, I will give her this much, at least she did pay homage to people like Dorothy Dandridge. You see what I'm saying? She has a certain compassion and respect for the women who came before her. Because when she won that Academy Awards, and I don't give a fuck what people say, oh, it was this and that. Okay, yeah, maybe. But when she won it, she gave mad props to Dorothy Dandridge, Eartha Kitt, Ruby Dee, Diane Carroll. She gave mad props to those women, and it was real and it wasn't fake. I don't see too many niggas doing that. I'm just saying, in the industry, I'm talking about niggas in the industry. I ain't talking about average black guys. I ain't talking about y'all. I'm talking about niggas in the industry who have a lot of money, but when it comes to controlling their motherfucking reality, they have no control over that. And NFL players, they're nothing but fucking slaves. They are owned by white men and white women. They are owned. So somebody else is controlling their fate. But I'm just sitting back watching all of this shit happen to all of these black NFL players, to all of these black men in the music and the movie industry. And you know, back in the day, you didn't see black men embroiled in these scandals and shit like that of this magnitude. Yeah, you did. Sometimes you did, but not like this. And what's happening is that they are getting the flip side of polarity. I know that, but they don't know that. And then some of them have set up karma for themselves based upon their self-hating, cooning ass motherfucking ways. It's not about them. You don't have to date black women. I don't give a fuck who you date. But when you sacrifice who you are and you sacrifice your motherfucking soul, you're not just you're sacrificing every aspect of you and even your fucking personal power. People can pull that shit and they can use it for their goddamn self. And you're sitting there with a bunch of fucking green paper going through all this motherfucking shit and you don't know what to fucking do. But I just wanted to make this video, and I am laughing about it because the shit is fucking ridiculous, and it's kind of funny because, like I said, a lot of those niggas back in the day who were in the NFL, particularly, they used to, they went out and married all them white women and did all this shit, and now they're getting the flip side of polarity too. Now they're getting the flip side of polarity, but they don't have an understanding of that, and they don't know how to control their own reality because for so many years, their reality is being controlled by some white man or white woman. It's just what it is. And I don't fault the white man and the white woman. I don't fault them. That's your responsibility to know what to do. But, it is what it is. It is what it is, But yeah, so that's what's happening to them. That is what's happening to them. That is why they're going through all these hardships, because now that pendulum is swinging in another direction and it's not swinging in their benefit anymore the way that it was back then. And see, let me say this too. Let me add this too. When they sat, because see, this, what those niggas did, I'm talking about remember, I ain't talking about no average black dudes. I ain't talking about y'all. I'm talking about these niggas in the industry. When they got with these white women and when they started allowing themselves to be owned and including their soul to be owned, okay? And I'm not, and the black women too who have allowed themselves to be owned too. But one thing I will say about black women, usually from what I see, black women always maintain. I'm not talking about nobody like no goddamn Oprah. She's a fucked up whatever. But black women usually maintain and retain some form of consciousness, just like I said with Halle Berry. Okay, I noticed that about black women, and I'm not trying to kiss nobody's ass, and I'm not trying to be no advocate for nobody, but I'm just telling you what I see. Even at their lowest point, black women still, the ones I've seen in the industry, they still maintain a little bit of consciousness, some of them. That's one thing I can give them. But back during that time, when they were throwing black women under the bus, a lot of these NFL players and shit like that, they were also sacrificing the black woman's energy so they could manifest off of her energy. You see, marrying those white women and, telling the world, oh, this is better than black women and, basically sacrificing the entire black motherfucking community. Because what they did had ripple effects. It didn't just have an effect on black women and black men relationships, it had ripple effects across the board. So they basically sacrificed the black woman's energy by attacking her and dismissing her for others or non-blacks. It wasn't just them marrying outside the race. They did it in large numbers. And when they did it, they always had to say something stupid or smart, or they had to say something degrading or humiliating about black women. So they sacrificed the black woman's energy to manifest their wealth. So now their energy is being sacrificed. They set that fucking karma up for themselves. That's the karma they set up. The cause, trying to get wealth, manifesting off of the black woman's hurt and pain and anger. The effect, now you're at a place now where niggas are getting no respect in the NFL. They are not getting any respect hardly in the NFL. You see how they treating these black football players now? They're treating you niggas in that NFL just like motherfucking slaves. They're not giving you any respect. Same as with the music industry. You ain't getting no motherfucking respect. Movie industry, the same motherfucking way. You niggas ain't getting no fucking respect. But then again, this is all along the lines of the karma they set up for themselves and just the law of polarity that they have no control over because you niggas don't have any control over your fucking mind. That's what it's all about. You don't have control over your mind. Some white man or some white woman has control over your mind. And that's what it's all about. Having control over your own mind. And if you had control over your own mind, you wouldn't have to worry about Oprah doing some interview, which we all know she's going to do, or some docuseries. And I'm not saying that that's not something, I'm not saying that that's not detrimental, and I'm not saying that that's not a form of mind control that she's putting out, because that's what she does. But I'm just simply saying, when it comes to you being an individual, having control over your own mind, once you gain that, then that shit won't affect you the same way it would affect somebody else who does not know that. You feel what I'm saying? So all of these niggas, the problems that they're having is because they don't have control over their own fucking mind, and therefore they have no control over the polarity that is happening to them. Let's just say that. They have no control over it. And like I said, for so many years, they were living on the so-called good side of polarity, or let's just say on the side of polarity that was beneficial to them, just like Bill Cosby, just like Bill Cosby. Yeah, we know that they target black men more than they do white men when white men commit, crimes and shit like that. We know that. But see, Bill Cosby did some fucked up ass shit. Bill Cosby started attacking here we go again. He started going against the fucking grain. When you go against the grain, because we are connected on a collective level as black people, quantum entanglement, when we're connected, he started attacking Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy early in their career because he didn't like their brand of comedy, basically. Then Bill Cosby was going around calling out the black community and calling out other people, but he wasn't doing it because he wasn't calling out the black community out of concern and sincerity. He was doing that to look good to white people, to make white people look at him and say, well, I'm not like them, so you should, you should accept me. So what ended up happening was when he was putting out other people's shit and putting other people down, he set up some karma for himself. The cause, him putting out other people and trying to expose other people, and the effect was he ended up getting exposed. You see? And once again, the polarity comes in. He was benefiting on the side of polarity that he had been in for so many years. But see, sometimes when you set up certain karmic energy for yourself, you can push that pendulum to align with whatever karmic energy you have set up for yourself. Cause and effect. So you cause the pendulum of polarity to align with the effect of the karma that you set up for yourself. And that is what's happening to a lot of these black men in the industry. That's what's happening to them. They set up karma for themselves. And now that karma is aligning with the pendulum of polarity. And it's just not in their favor. But because these niggas don't have control over their mind, because they don't have control over their mind and they don't have understanding, Russell Simmons is supposed to be fucking spiritual or whatever the case may be, but I think he's on that love and light stuff. He's going after Oprah saying she only goes after black men. So that lets me know that he's not really tapping into anything, anything deep. Because if he was, he wouldn't even respond to that. He would rise above that motherfucking shit, control polarity like deities are supposed to do. We are supposed to control polarity. We're not supposed to allow polarity to control us. We're supposed to control it. I don't give a fuck how many people get mad. I don't care how many people bite their tongue. That's the way it's supposed to be if you call yourself a fucking god. And that is what I do. I control my own motherfucking polarity. That is what I'm doing. So like I said, when there's a door that's shut, I kick that motherfucker open and I make shit happen for myself. If I see that polarity is not going in my favor, I make it go in my motherfucking favor. I keep it going in my fucking favor. That is what self-transformation is all about. And that is what being a god is all about. And a lot of these motherfucking niggas in Hollywood, a lot of these niggas in the NFL, they are not gods. They are not on that level. They don't have control over their own mind. They just have money and wealth because they were chosen to have that money and wealth. They were chosen by whatever elites chose them for that. That is why they picked the most handsome and the most muscular type of black men to go into the NFL because, it's a sport. And, it's not only is it a sport, it's almost like being a fucking slave because you are owned. And chances are your owners are white men. So those niggas in the NFL are nothing more than rich slaves. That's it. They are rich slaves. They are rich motherfucking slaves. That's it. And they have no control over their mind. And therefore they have no control over polarity. So that is why they are going through the shit that they're going through. But anyway, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to drop that video. And I just wanted to drop that. Hit me up on Patreon for spiritual consultations if you need one. I will drop the link to my Patreon in the video description box. And thank you for listening.